At Indie Booksource, you can shop by genre or by author, and you will be buying direct from the author's main purchase link. We offer hundreds of titles in formats that include ebooks, paperback, hardbound, and audiobook. Support an indie author. Visit indiebooksource.com today.
Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. I'm glad that you're here tonight, whether you're watching us live or you're tuning in to a podcast. We're glad that you're listening to our show and participating in our show. Remember, we love all your comments. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. And we have a really great author for you from Canada. We already have one comment. Chanel. Hello, Chanel.
Hi, Chanel.
How are you feeling? Chanel is right now in a halfway house after she had her stem cell replacement and is recuperating. So our prayers are with her. Joe Conjal says, hi, Rob and Joan. Hi, Joe. Joe's going to be on another show. We'll talk about that more later, but right after this show.
Right.
And we're going to go watch and listen.
We're going to go listen.
There'll be nothing to watch. Mm-hmm. Paul Hollis says, hi, Rob and Joan. Hello,
Paul.
We're so glad to have you
Good
here.
to see you.
Oh, Caleb says, glad to be on board. We are glad to have you. Let me tell you.
Welcome.
And James L. Ricard says, greetings.
Hi, James.
On one and all. Greetings to you, James.
The gang's all here almost. Yeah.
Yep.
Good to see everybody. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, go ahead and comment. You can make your comments. You won't see anybody else's comments on that one. So, don't feel like you can't do it. Go ahead and do it. And
like we've mentioned before, we're on 6 channels. Okay. So you may be on a different channel than the people that are commenting. So you're never gonna, excuse me. George just made a comment that I will read to you in a minute. You may not see those comments, but that's why I read them out loud. Chanel says she's exhausted and still in the hospital. You have 9 more days before the rehab center.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Ugh.
It's going to be a long month.
I can't believe you're watching the show while you're in the hospital. Yeah. God bless you.
Everybody keep the prayers coming for her.
She says the stem cell treatment is going good, but she's exhausted. Well, we'll keep praying for you. Right? Yeah, I can't imagine. George says, I was blown in by the wind sweeping down the plain.
The Oklahoma kid.
Oklahoma.
The Houston guy goes up to Oklahoma, and it's too windy for him. No. Well, welcome back.
Yes.
Okay.
Goodness.
So.
Yes.
Without much more ado, why don't we get going? And we're going to bring in
our author guest of the night
for tonight is Mr. Frank Talaber, live from Chilliwack, British Columbia,
Canada.
Hello there.
Hello. How are you tonight, Frank?
I'm very good. I got off early at work just so I can hear instead of being at work. So I'm great.
Yeah, this is better, right?
Yes,
right. He's on the West Coast, so he's 3 hours earlier than
if you thought this was a lot of work, then that would be sad. We have a lot of fun.
You're 2 hours earlier than some of these people.
Yeah,
well, I do have a lot of fun. I tend to. I love chatting with people. I'm the general manager there, so I talk to people all day long, and I like it. And I've talked to people, and I've always said, as an author, you can't write the crap that some people have lived in their lives. Like some of these stories are unbelievable.
That is true.
Sometimes I'll twist them and meld them in as well. So
some of the stories of our authors are unbelievable.
That's right.
And really, I'm just impressed that they
The guy you had before
If they're
this,
still alive.
the guy you had before this that had that name that found all these supernovas. Like,
Yeah.
how
Oh,
how like
I know,
that's
right?
crazy. You know?
There you go. There you go.
Of course, none of us could hardly understand him because his Scottish accent was so strong.
Yeah.
But other than that, so Frank, tell us a little bit
But
about
Chanel says, I love your talented writers and love the show. I wouldn't miss your show for sure.
Oh, great.
Thanks,
That's awesome.
Chanel.
Frank, tell us a little bit about yourself, will you?
Okay, so yes, I have many novels out there. I think I've got 8 now on Amazon, and they're also on Smashwords as ebooks as well. I've got 5 more. Actually, there's 2 more that are in other genres that aren't on there. So I have another 2 out, and I've got 5 on the go right now. Most of them are kind of done, so I'm just slowly feeding them out. So yeah, I've been sort of writing all my life. I remember in grade 3, I got it one time to do a short story, and people were all laughing, not at me, but with me. And I said, you know what? I love that. I love entertaining people, laugh, and making them feel good. So in all my novels, even though some are about fairly dark, paranormal topics, there's always funny scenes. And in the end, my belief is the good guy or the good woman must win somehow and
Yeah.
make the world a better place. That's my whole thinking.
So Caleb says, Frank tells stories from a different side of the street
Oh yeah.
from where the rest of us walk.
Oh yeah, you got that right. Because I can tell you some crazy stories. If you guys want to hear one, so one of my series is set in Victoria, BC, probably one of the most haunted cities in the world. Tons and tons of ghosts. So if you do research,
Which story is this that you're talking about?
so that's The Joining and the Mystery Mystique, that series.
Well, we'll
Yes.
put up The Joining.
Yeah.
So and this is the second book, The Mystery of
that's correct.
Mystique. Okay, so here we're talking about The Joining.
So I'll talk about The Joining in a minute. But when I went to the Empress Hotel, is the main hotel in Victoria in the harbor. And we stayed there one night, and when we were done, we were waiting for our car to come around, and there was a head door guy. And like I said, I always ask people, and I said, so, been here a while? He goes, yep. Any ghost stories? He goes, yeah. He said, I got a crazy one. He says, so like you guys, this is a couple about 5 years ago, waiting for the cars, and they didn't look happy. I said, well, you guys okay? They go, no, we're out of here. Because last night we walked into our locked hotel room. My wife's luggage has been taken out of her suitcase. It's been opened up. Then ghost clothes were put in. And like most people are thinking, what do you mean by ghost clothes? Like Victorian clothing. So, and he said that happened because they were scared like crapless, these guys. And so in my head, as a writer, I'm thinking, okay, great. Now we got a ghost walk around in modern day clothing.
There you go. There you go.
So The Joining, that one is all about Carol. First big case undercover in the Empress Hotel. She's going in because there's 2 mafia families have come in for a quote wedding, but they're not there for the wedding. They're there to set up a drug operation. However, they bring with them an old curse that disturbs all the ghosts and all the spirits. And there's apparently a couple of satanic cults in the Victoria area as well. So what happens almost immediately? One of the head mafia guys is found hanged in his room by what looks like a ghost. She meets this FBI agent who's coming in to investigate the whole thing as well. And then she also gets kind of romantically involved with him a little, and then also with one of the mafia guys as well. So, her hands are full. But then this American psychic woman called Agnes shows up. She's about 70-some years old. She keeps with her a crystal skull that she talks to it. It helps her to read people's minds. And what really cheeses off Carol is that she can read her mind all the time. And it just drives her crazy. But Carol says to her when she's checking, it's like, what are you doing here? She goes, well, you asked me here. And she has no idea. And she goes, oh, yeah, you did. And then things like young boys are being abducted and other crazy things are all happening because of all the spirits being upset. And she's going to solve all this stuff. And also, if people haven't done much about Victoria, there's actually a vortex there. There's on Shelbourne and Hillside Street, many people reported driving down the road late at night, usually in the fall, and all of a sudden the whole road disappears in front of them, and it just becomes like a cobblestone road, old dirt road. And as they continue driving, that all feeds back. And a lot of people have said that. So I use that vortex to help, it's like travel people around.
Have you ever tried that?
I haven't, no.
Maybe you should. That'd be kind of fun, right?
It would be
Take
a riot. I'd
take
love
a
to do that.
video of it, while you're
Yeah,
driving.
yeah.
The old
That'd
dash
be the
cam
coolest. Yep.
going.
That would be weird.
That would
Yeah.
be weird.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, they're totally.
So
And then
it's
there's
an
lots of
alternate
others.
reality, actually.
Yeah. So in book 2,
Okay, we
basically
got
what
this one.
happens, Mystery Mystique. So Agnes discovers a secret that she has no idea existed. And by revealing that secret, she brings back the villainess from the first book. And now she has to use the vortex and other stuff to move back and forth in time, basically, to save basically Carol's nephew who's been abducted, because there's a group of mafia guys, and not mafia guys, actually Russians, that have ran into a problem that Carol made in the first book, and they're after her for revenge. And so she's trying to save him, and Agnes rolls in as well. The covers, well, the covers
Let
actually.
me read the question so that people listening will know what we're talking
Got
about.
Got it.
Joe Conchel says, "Hi, Frank. I love the covers. Who does them for you?"
Hi, Joe. So most of my covers are made by a Ukrainian company called MyBlart. The Mystery Mystique is not. It was made by a friend of mine that's an artist. She drew the body, and they did all the background. But all my other covers, which they'll show you eventually, all of those are put together by this company called MyBlart. They're out of Ukraine, so right now, obviously, they're struggling to get me my newest cover and stuff done. But they are an amazing company to work with. They charge anywhere from $200 to $400, depending on what you want for your cover, and they don't stop until you're happy. If you're not satisfied, they just keep going. So they're amazing.
Can you describe the joining cover for the people that can't see it?
So yeah, the joining is about all the mystical things. Part of it is set in there's a huge graveyard in Victoria, and actually another interesting story why there's so many ghosts. So in Victoria, that's the Ross Bay Cemetery, and that's a spirit. There's also a spirit is being formed in the amongst the drug dealers and stuff in the sewers at that vortex, and that's being merged together. And I won't say how. That's also part of this book as well. But another true story about Victoria is the first graveyard in Victoria was in behind where the Empress is. They ran into a problem. They found out is that it get water soaked, logged. And in the spring, coffins would actually, just like in the movie Poltergeist, they come shooting out of the ground.
Wow.
So what they did is they got rid of that cemetery, but just like in the movie, they didn't take the bodies out. They left something like 1,500 bodies in the ground. Just took all the headstones out. And when I went there, actually a few years ago, they had a whole section of headstones at the very back. And I asked the lady that was working there, "Wow." I said, she says, "Yeah, we just found these in one of our storage rooms." So what they would do, and they didn't tell people this, is they actually, when they buried people, as soon as the mourners were gone, before they covered them up, they actually hired guys for a couple of years, and they would take these big giant steel axes and picks, and they would smash out holes in the sides of these expensive coffins so they wouldn't come out of the ground.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Joe wants to know, well, first of all, let me explain what the cover looks like. It's blue, all blue. And then you see a woman's face, very mystical and ethereal, and obviously in a graveyard. So now Joe Conjal wants to know, is the woman on the cover someone you know or knew?
No, actually it's not. That was all made up by the artists.
Yeah. Good work too.
Yes.
And then let's talk about Mystique. Now, I really like the cover on Mystique. It just reminds me of, the 30s and the 40s and all the old mystery writers that I really love.
Yep. And that's Agnes, because she's 70-some years old. She's an American. She's been married 3 times. She did live in England for quite a while, so she's got some English sort of classy background. She's very, very classy woman. She loves wearing big, large hats, big fancy outfits, and she's very rich now. she used to do a stage show, and she called herself Mystique, just like it's spelled there on the cover.
Uh-huh.
And she would use the crystal skull. So the crystal skull would actually, she could look at somebody in the crowd, and it could read their minds, and she could tell them things. So she got very famous and very rich because people, knew that she was for real.
So she's wearing on this blue cover a big red hat, and
Yeah.
she's wearing a light brown dress, and it's the mystery of MS.TEAK, Mystique, but like Mystique.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
That's her cover name. And then that blue diamond that you see there, that's
Yeah.
actually what I've learned is that you can actually take someone that's died, and you can actually have them crushed down into
Yeah.
diamond.
Right.
And that's got the heart and soul of somebody else in there as well.
And Chanel says, if you have Kindle Unlimited, most of Frank's books are free.
This is true. This is true.
And Caleb says, Victoria has a story on every street corner waiting to be told.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
And
Sounds like a place we'd like to go.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it is really cool. One of the things that happens is the guy that built the Empress Hotel is called Francis Rattenbury. He's an English architect. He also built the Parliament buildings for BC, which is right next to the right of the Empress Hotel, basically. And how he funny story is how he built the apartment building, his first project, and he was like this unknown guy. They said you have to enter anonymously, the design. So he just put Canadian famous architect, and they thought, oh, that's the guy. So what happens is they actually get to his ghost, and he comes back to help them. And in book 2, I was telling about how ghosts are walking around with modern day clothing. He's the guy. He comes back because he's done a favor for them. He wants to come back to the future to do something. They don't know what it is yet. So another kind of.
Okay, very interesting. You'll have to buy the book to find out. Now, this next book is called Raven's Lament, and it has a raven on it and a moon, sliver moon. And
so
where is that set? Is that set in a field?
Yes, Raven's Lament. This is the first series I wrote of paranormal crime thrillers. This is about a shaman king, Charlie Stillwater. So this has it's based on a true incident. About 30 years ago, up the coast of British Columbia, in a place called the Queen's Charlotte Islands, Haida Gwaii, a guy, in protest of logging of all things, cut down a very rare golden spruce tree. So the First Nations have this urban legend that there's a prince trapped inside this tree, and that's why all the leaves are turned gold in sorrow for this prince. So when the tree's cut down, the prince has been released. He's now traveling. He's now becoming an earth spirit because he's been in this tree for like 200 years. But the reason he got trapped there in the first place is Raven. So Raven wakes up, looks at the world the way it is now, and goes, "Man, this place sucks." So a reporter comes to investigate the story. He meets a woman there. They fall in love with each other, and the two, with her uncle Charlie, who's a shaman, end up battling Raven to stop him from changing the world back to the way it was.
Interesting.
Maybe we should let him know.
Yeah. Might not be a bad idea.
There you go.
Now. And here's your next one, Seeds of Ascension.
Yeah. So this is this is book 1. I've got the other 2 written. I just got to go through some more changes and hopefully have it out next year or so. Basically, it's based on an American guy from Seattle, a salesman. He's traveling around all the time, and he tries to go through a metal detector one day, and they go, "Nope, you got metal on you. You can't go." He goes, "What? I was just through one last week." He goes, "Nope." So he gets a quick emergency operation and finds out, yes, there is a piece of what looks like foreign, is actually alien metal. So what's happening is he is one of the guys that have been chosen to see if humanity is ready to ascend into the rest of the cosmos. Because for those people that believe, there's millions of races out there, and they kind of keep us isolated until they think we're ready to evolve, basically. When he goes back to his buddies, they go, "Yeah, that's odd. We've, all of them or some of them say, yeah, that we've had that too." So they end up kind of getting all these pieces of metal together, and the kind of story goes from there. But basically, he has to learn. So there's some spirituality in this too, because he has to learn how to accept his chakras and how to move through them. He goes, "Chakras? I don't even know how to spell the thing." I'm just a sales guy. And I'm the
You
guy
do
that's supposed to save us from the universe or enter in the universe. They go, yep.
So explain the cover. What's happening to the guy on the cover?
So basically, this is when he's first in getting in touch with his chakras. I think that's the heart one there, kind of opening himself up. He also finds out he's got the ability to travel from place to place, but only in sort of spiritual places. So he can go from let's say Machu Picchu, he can travel over to the pyramids of Egypt, because there's certain I forget what you call them. There's certain areas on Earth where there's like null zones, almost like ley lines where they cross.
Mhm.
And apparently in Victoria, the ley lines do cross there, and that's one of the reasons why there's so many spirits trapped there as well. So this guy he finds out he can enter one area and travel across to another one.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
We need to take a break,
Okay.
get a message from our sponsors, and everybody stay tuned, because we're going to have a book giveaway as soon as we get back.
Sounds good.
Don't go anywhere.
I won't.
People Who Like to Read Want to Get Their Hands on Books by Becca Jones.
Becca Jones, the breakthrough author who tells it like it is. It takes courage to tell a story when it reveals dark secrets. Becca Jones delves deep into the hidden world of sexual abuse. She tells what happened and also tells how she survived.
Meant to Be is much more than just entertaining. Meant to Be gives you a point of reference, hope to cling to, and becomes a guide for survival if you have suffered the same thing. Meant to Be, Becca Jones, a must-have.
Meant to Be is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites.
Dear Lord, she's still alive.
Who's still alive?
Maris, that's who.
Come on, Angie, that's impossible.
Impossible or not, she's still alive, I tell you. She killed that boatload of people, and she's just getting started. There's no limit to what she will do.
It's not easy to kill a siren. It takes a formula and a plan. Siren Song 2 is the spellbinding sequel to Siren Song. Both novels by George Dismukes.
Siren Song 2 will be on bookshelves and bookseller websites in July. Don't miss it.
And we're back.
Cool.
We're going to have our book giveaway in just a second, but let's tell everybody how to get a hold of Frank.
Okay, so you can find Frank on his website, which is Frank Talaber, published author .wordpress.com, and that's FrankTalaberPublishedauthor.
.wordpress.com.
And you can also find him on Facebook at F Talaber.
Yep.
And on Twitter at Frank Talaber.
Mm-hmm.
On LinkedIn,
Search Frank Talaber.
Frank Talaber. And YouTube, search on YouTube, Let's Be Frank Canada. And you wanted to tell us about one of the videos that you've made.
The newest book I got, The Mystery Mystique. My friend and I put together a video I did with one of our local MLAs, who's a brilliant guy. It's called Trying to Demystify the Mystery Mystique. If you look that up on YouTube, you'll pull up a video, and it's well done. It talks about two of the books, The Joining and The Mystery Mystique, and I kind of go into depth about that and some of my writing background as well. And it's just, and then my friends put a whole pile of background effects into it. So it's really well done. Really
awesome. Now we do have here his email is 2soulmates at jaw.ca, which is for Canada. So it's TWOSOULMATES
No,
at Shaw,
that's where you're going to
SHAW.
be emailing to win
Yep.
a copy of. There will be the first 2 people to email to soulmates at shaw.ca will win ebook copies of The Joining.
Yep.
An ebook copy of The Joining.
Yes.
There you go.
So,
And we also want to encourage those that are listening on the podcast to go
yeah,
ahead.
if
Go
you're
ahead
listening
and
to
try.
this even 2 weeks from now, go ahead and,
Give it a shot.
because
Oh, yeah.
they don't always go on the night of the show.
Yep.
So,
So-
And I'm always open to chatting with people, fellow writers. One of my beliefs in life is always to help other people as well as writers. So any
Right.
questions on writing or any whatever, I'm always open. I go to conventions and talk a lot about stuff like that. So I'm always, of open mind to give back to what I received from other people when I was growing up to be a writer.
there you go.
Well, that brings me to another question. When did you start writing?
Seriously, the first was in grade 12. I took a creative writing course that I thought would be like easy credits. And yeah, and it was in a sense, but I was interested, but I didn't really know how to do anything writing wise. So what happened is, the first day of class, the teacher puts down this ring binder, and he says, "Here's your course material." And I open it, and I went, "Wait a minute, it's empty. There's nothing in it." He goes, "Yeah, your job's to fill it." I go, "What?" So the whole idea was to get what they call subconscious writing. So for the first 20 minutes of every class, you would sit down and just write. So the first couple of weeks, it was like, well, there's the blonde girl still in front of me, and I haven't got the guts to ask her out yet. The walls are still blue, and I don't know what I'm doing here. But eventually, it kicked in, and I got what he was doing. So before the class was over, I could sit down and start writing, and I would write anywhere from 2 to 5 to 10 pages. It would just start pouring out of me because that's the whole idea. And there's like no editing, no grammar, no nothing. You just write. So the whole idea is to let go of everything and then get in touch with maybe the rest of the universe, your subconscious, whatever you call it, so you can just go. And since then, I can do that. I'll often sit down and write whole short stories in one sitting, just like that. And often a lot of my scenes, my novels, same thing. When I'm working on a book, I'll just kind of wait, and all of a sudden, bam, it hits me, and it's just pouring out, which my wife hates because I often get up in the middle of the night and I've got this notepad beside me, and I go running into the bathroom, and I'll just be scribbling like mad. And
Do you still have that original one from the 12th grade?
I do, actually.
You do? Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
I keep a lot of my stuff, which drives my wife crazy because I have boxes of writing downstairs. Some of the stuff I'll eventually go back and use again. And now that I've got more experience, fulfill mode. People ask, well, what's your favorite author? My favorite author actually is an American, Robert E. Howard, the guy that wrote the Conan series. Some of the stuff's very dark, but he pulls you in right away, and you're in there. And if you ever get a chance to pick up any of his original books or stories, wow, he's amazing.
So Marjorie Daring says, you're obviously an interesting man. Even the pictures behind you have me wondering if there isn't an intriguing story to go along with those.
I was
two
wondering
pictures.
the same thing.
So was I. Thank you, Marjorie.
That's kind of why I decided to sit here. So book 1, The Raven's Lament, opens in in Haida Gwaii, Queen Charlotte Islands. The picture of all the totems, that's an instance. So that's an abandoned village because all the Haida died off of smallpox and malaria and all this kind of stuff when Caucasians came in. So that's still there. That I think the other one with the painted picture is actually in Stanley Park in Vancouver. That's kind of ties into book 2 of the Charlie's series, Lure. But yeah, all those totems are there. You can travel down there and walk around. I haven't got to there yet. I've been up to Haida Gwaii once, but everyone that goes there, same thing. You can see and feel all these spirits, and there are places when I've gone up there to up at Haida Gwaii that it's the same thing. It's bizarre. Some of the energy and the chemistry that you get just walking around in certain areas, it's wild.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So have you got a picture of the lure?
We do?
Yep. I'm going to bring it up right now.
So the lure, this is book 2 in the Charlie series, Still Waters Runs Deep. So this opens with the death of Vancouver's mayor. There's another oral legend they have that there is a witch transformed into a rock in Stanley Park. And so what happens is she's been released. And that ties in with another urban legend that we have in our culture. It says, you're out drinking, you get good and drunk, and you don't remember anything. Well, in a bar in Stanley Park, right next to it, if you get drunk enough, spirits are hanging around, and they'll take over your body and use it whatever they want to use it for till you sober up. One of these is a Hell's Angels type guy that's come back for revenge against his mates that killed him, and he's inadvertently released this witch, and then Charlie shows up to try to get her back wherever she was because she's not nice.
So that the cover has her coming out of the rock, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's all.
And again, that was all done by my Blart. I gave them the idea of what I wanted, and they put that together. Then they changed. I said, no, change a few things. I wanted your hand opened up, so it looked like you're inviting somebody, and they just kept at it until I was happy. So amazing company to deal with, to be honest.
That's good. And they're still okay, I take it, because
yes, they're still doing stuff. They're a bit slower because of whatever. I think they're in Kiev, so they're still kind of okay right now.
Oh, yeah. The capital. Joe Conchal says, if they take over your body, won't they just make you keep drinking? LOL.
Yes, they do, actually. So in a couple of scenes, they're going back up to the bar, and they're asking the bartender for, a 26 of whiskey so that they can take off, do whatever they want to do with your body, and keep you drunk enough that they can still use you. You're absolutely correct on that point.
What would you like to do next? The Awakening?
Yeah, The Awakening. So that's his book 3 in that series. So this one, Charlie actually breaks his way into a jail because he knows there's a spirit, which is the Haida's version of Thunderbird waking up. It's been in amnesia in a human being for a long time, and something's just made it wake up. So he knows when that thing wakes up, all hell's going to break loose. There's these evil creatures called Wasgos that are after that, stop that from happening. So they're trying to stop Charlie and him at the same time. He invites Carol to help him. Well, she's on holidays, but she convinces him to come off of holidays because he can't go in the female side of the jail. And he doesn't know if it's in a man or a woman. So she has to go on that side. Now, what happens is she has some psychic abilities too. And there's this fairy spirit that kind of abducts her because it's had a injustice done to its mother and father, but it cannot go into anything unnatural. So it needs Carol to fulfill revenge, basically, or justice against for this person, for this being.
So this is a really cool cover too. The Awakening. It's got an all black background, and then the Thunderbird looks sort of like a phoenix, a little bit, and it's bright orange and red and bright gold.
Kind of like it's exploding in fire.
It does. Exactly. That's exactly, and well done, because that's.
And I kind of originally was going to put like a Thunderbird in there, but I thought, no, no one's going to understand that. It'd be more accepting if it's sort of like a phoenix type being. So
it almost looks like a dragon.
It does look like a phoenix awakening, but it's the Thunderbird, which of course they believe is real. A lot of people do.
Yes.
And what were the other creatures that you mentioned? Well,
they're called Wasgos. So they are
is that also
beings, and the only fear they have is Thunderbird. So since Thunderbird's been gone, they've done whatever they wanted to do. Now they know it's waking up, so now they're really upset, and they're afraid because the Thunderbird can kill them.
So the Wasco, is that also part of the First Nations belief? I've never heard of them. I wonder if any of our indigenous people have that same belief. That's
from what I understand, it's probably just up revolving the Haida up in northern BC.
So George Dismuke said, I got so drunk one time that I married my third wife. Close enough to a witch.
There you go. Probably came out of a rock or out from underneath one of the two. Right?
Ask him if she hadn't lived in Vancouver at the time. Maybe has a bar next to the Stanley Park.
Well, you heard him, George. I don't think so, but I know her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, so she's a witch, but she's a succubus as well. So she actually,
Oh,
so
wow.
she actually goes to bed with people and ends up killing them by sucking all their energy out of them.
Yeah.
So there's some pretty
Yeah.
wild scenes in that one too.
Yeah. We've all known energy vampires in one
Yes.
form or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Not a favorite
No.
of mine, but they're very real. They are very real. Oh, we've got another comment. Okay, out from under a rock for sure.
Yes, you did. That's what I thought.
George says that. Oh gosh.
And the other thing I've done, and I got this from when I was very young. From I don't read country and westerns, but my friend did. But he loved Lou Lemire, and I was reading one of the back of his covers, and what I got from the guy, and what I try to do as well. He says that if I tell you of a town, a creek, a bar, they all existed there at one time. If they're not there now. So when I talk about Victoria or Haida or any of these places, and I tell you a street, a building, they're there, and all the cross streets are there, and because I believe in being very accurate, so that when you go there, you can go, wow, yeah, this happened here. In the opening of the Lure, it's set in Stanley Park. I had many people say to me, wow, that I was there. You absolutely captured. I could see the place. I can feel it. It's amazing, the whole energy of that location.
Excellent. Excellent. And what I like is that you're using real beliefs,
Right.
Yeah.
That
And I've done so. So people say to me, well, do you have any First Nations? I go, no, my background actually is all Hungarian. But interesting story. When I was younger, before this whole thing with the cutting down the spruce tree happened, I was sitting in the Victoria Museum, the Provincial Museum, and they have this whole room down there of these totems. And I remember sitting there, and I could swear to God I could hear voices. And when I talked to one of my friends who was a First Nation, goes, yes. He says, so their history is all oral. So when they all passed away, all these spirits died, and all the legends and everything went with them. But he says they're always looking for people that they can connect to and talk to, so that they can relay some of their stuff back somehow, because they always believe that they come back either the next generation or 2 generations later. Their spirits never die.
Okay, James Ricard said that outfit in Ukraine does good work for you.
They sure do.
It does. I mean, what a great way that we could support Ukraine
Great
is
that
to
you can
use
do
them.
that.
Yes.
And
Well,
how do you spell their name, their company's name?
It's My Blart, so it's MIBLART. And if you go to
My Blart.
Facebook, I know they're on Facebook. They have their own webpage as well. And
Okay.
so yeah,
Excellent.
amazing. Like I said, they're great because they're not happy until you're happy.
We have to break for another commercial, so hang on, folks. Don't
Those-
go anywhere.
Those pesky little sponsors, I tell you.
Thank
Fortunately,
God
we'll keep the show going.
Hang on.
Amen.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Behold, this one about a man, a woman, a black jaguar, and an ancient Maya legend. Two Faces of the Jaguar is a novel by George Dismukes that will take you deep into the jungle and capture your imagination until the last word. Two Faces of the Jaguar is book 1 of a trilogy. Two Faces of the Jaguar, where only the adventurous dare to read.
Two Faces of the Jaguar, The Lost City, and The Jaguar's Quest are available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites. Two Faces of the Jaguar, the book people are talking about. Get your copy today.
This award-winning thriller has it all. Murder, political intrigue, mob revenge, and a bit of romance. Not to mention strong female and male characters with a storyline that could be tomorrow's headline news. Now for a quick peek into our story. To help solving a nationwide plot involving the assassination of several U.S. senators, the O'Rourke team is called in. To complicate matters, they now have to work against the clock to rescue one of their own. You see, the mob didn't take too kindly to the O'Rourke team's involvement last spring. It seems to have led to the indictment of their boss. Will they succeed?
Hello. We're
Welcome
back.
back. I
Thank
think this would be a good time to mention Joe Conjal is going to be
Yes.
on
Blog Talk Radio.
Blog Talk Radio right after ours. Remember,
Right.
we had a crossover event a while back?
Yeah.
And now Joe Conjal is going to be on that podcast. So we're going to tune in right after we finish our show.
Right. Here's how you go. Go to blogtalkradio.com, look up Voice of Indie, episode 91, or you can call the phone number 516-453-9902, and you'll be able to listen to listen to it, and
To the podcast.
also be able to make a comment if you want to make a comment.
Oh, yeah.
And-
We've
and
got to make
Ask
comments to
questions
Joe.
about, we got to ask him lots of really tough questions.
Grill
Joe
'em.
says, thanks for the plug. You're welcome, Joe. Tell us if there's any specific questions you'd like us to ask, because you
Yeah.
know we're going to call.
You can text us with that one.
Yep.
Joe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we will do it.
Yes.
Now, back to our story.
Yeah. Hey, if there was anybody that you would want to ask a question of, who would it be?
Funny, I think I've got that on the cover of one of my books that are out there.
What I'd say to Buddha if I met him in the pub. There you go.
I have lots to ask him. Why is he here? What's he doing here? Why hasn't he come back? I mean, he could be back now, but he's quite the character. Now, in there, that's a collection of my short stories, most of which have been published over the years. I've had many, many stories published. One story in there called the Sylvia Suncatchers. That was actually done based on a true hotel in Newport, Oregon. I don't know if any of you guys got there. It's called the Sylvia Beach Hotel. And in an entry of 300 stories, that was voted #1 by the readers, that story. And that's the coolest place because it's on the beach on the west side, and every room is dedicated to a book or an author. So they have an Agatha Christie room, they have a Jules Verne, they have a Harry Potter room. They also have like a Dr. Seuss room as well, which is cool. And in the Agatha Christie room, they got mysteries you got to try to solve while you're in there.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Now, this is a really fun cover. Excuse our dog. She's flipping out because there's a truck out front.
That was kind of the whole idea, is just to, have a sort of casual conversation and a drink with Buddha. He's actually drinking a non-alcoholic drink, as far as I understand. He doesn't drink.
He's a Buddhist. It's the happy Buddha with some pub guys.
Now, the little guy there at the bar.
Okay, wait a minute. I'll bring it back up.
Oh, that's the wrong
sorry,
one.
wrong one.
That's you there.
Yeah, it is.
That beer, isn't it?
So again, my Blart did this cover, and I said I want to be on the cover.
It looks
Somebody
just
looks
like
kind
him.
of like me. So I sent him a picture of
Einstein.
me, and then I found a picture of Buddha, and you're absolutely correct. So they kept at it. So this one costs a bit more because they have to sort of hand paint it, basically. But I think they did a good job.
Sorry about the jaw.
Yeah, it's okay.
The dog.
Some kind
My
of delivery
goodness.
there.
Well, now we have a motorcycle going
Let me
by.
get you over
So.
the right spot.
Oh, there you go. And book 2 is you just flash it for a second there. It's called What I'd Say to
Well,
Einstein.
we're going to bring it right.
Yeah.
We got to bring it. What are you doing?
I'm getting you back to here, and then we'll go to here. All right.
That's
Book 2?
where I was.
Again, that's me. And same thing is some more of my short stories. Many, like I said, all of them have been published over the years. There's a couple in there that I have a really weird, crazy sense of humor, and
Really?
yeah, and people say to me, "Where do you think of this stuff from?" Like that's just so bizarre. Funny thing, just a few months ago, I've been going to a dentist for many years. He's a Vietnamese guy called Dr. Wong. He said, "So," and he's a fan of mine. He says, "So why are there no dentists in any TV series?" I said, "Well, you guys are like dweebs. Like nobody really wants you as whatever." He says, "Oh, well, write me a story." I said, "Okay." So I went home, pounded out this story about him meeting one of his patients who ends up being an alien, and
Cool.
like I said, I could sit down, write it all out. Then I'll come back later, do the grammar, and I'll do the research as to what tools this guy uses, all the things to make it as accurate as possible. And I gave it to him. He goes, "Wow, that is the most insane story I've ever read." I says, "Thank you." And he's so on Facebook, I also have another page on Facebook called My Short Stories. If you look me up, you'll see me there. It's not in your list there, but you can go in there, and a lot of my stories are published in there as well.
So this cover is what I'd say to Einstein if I met him on the dance floor, and it shows Frank dancing with Einstein
Yeah.
in the middle of the room. And the background is kind of orangey color. So.
Yeah. My the third book that's going to be coming out later this month. The third book, which is probably going to be next year, some more of my stories, is probably going to be called "What I Would Say to Agatha Christie If I Met Her Around the Campfire."
Yeah.
So
Agatha Christie, one of my favorite authors.
yes,
I have a lot of favorite authors, so I gotta be honest. I have a million of them.
There you go. And I did run into a guy that lived up in Haida Gwaii, and he read my novel, and he said to me, he says, "So everything you said is there. It's all in place. It's amazing." He goes, "How much time do you spend up there?" I go, "Well, at that time, I haven't gone up there yet. I'm going up this summer to do the research to make sure it's all accurate." He goes, "Wow, great job."
Now, James Ricard says Jerry Helper was a dentist in the Van Dyke Show. That's absolutely right.
And there was another one that was on Bob Newhart's show had an orthodontist. I think that guy was an
right.
orthodontist.
That's right.
There you go. So there are a few.
Yeah.
Marjorie Deering says, "I like that you're playing the air guitar on the cover of your What I'd Say to Einstein."
Well, they look like fun. It looks like they're having fun, right?
Yeah, that's the whole idea, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure Einstein would ever have been able to have that kind of fun.
Well,
he might not have. Well, maybe he never thought of it.
In the
that's
afterlife.
my twisted sense of humor. It's what you would do to somebody that wouldn't do something normally, like Buddha in a bar, right?
Right.
That's just how my mind works. So a lot of my story ideas, my plot lines, people like in the Mystery Mystique, I hired a professional editor because it was a very complicated bunch of plot lines. And she says, "I have no freaking idea how you pull all that stuff off and wove it in the end, but you did it amazing." Thank you. So if you like that kind of twisted sort of weaving plot lines, I love weaving stuff together and making them work. And people ask me, "Do you write, like scene one to the end?" No, often I will. Most of the time, the end scene is the first one I write. Then I kind of work backwards from there, and then I'll sort of weave all the plots in.
A lot of authors do that.
Interesting, right?
Especially in mystery books. A lot of authors and thrillers, they write the end and
how they want it to turn out.
And if people say, "Well, you're getting advice for authors and writers that are starting," I said, "Well, never give up." I had a lot of short stories published, but it took over 400 attempts before I got my first novel accepted. And there's a true story about Stephen King, who his first novel, Carrie, he sent it out to about a dozen publishers, and he got fed up and he chucked it in the garbage. And that's it, I'm done. And his wife says, "Hang on, you're not going to be an English teacher. You say you're an author, you pick that damn thing up and you put it out there again, and you keep going." The next publisher is the one that accepted Carrie.
Lucky number 13.
Yeah, exactly. Lucky number 13.
Yeah, especially for him, right?
Yeah.
Every rejection I consider is the one that gets me closer to acceptance. So there you go.
Yep. That's life, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
Every stumble is one one step closer to getting. Every failure is one step closer to success.
And
The
that's
only
always
way
been,
you can look at it.
so
I'm sorry. What did you just say?
that's always been my belief in life.
Oh, yeah.
You pick up every mistake is a learning process towards something, making yourself a better person or somebody around you a better person, or just a learning process. Sometimes you don't get the process right away, but hey, that's just part of life. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I think as you get more mature, maybe you catch on a little quicker than you did when you
well,
were
yeah,
in your
that's
20s.
and there's an old saying that says, the older I get, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know,
That's
and
right.
that's true too, I think, as well.
That is
Very
the
true.
truth.
Very true.
The longer you're walking on this planet, the more you realize you don't know anything.
Yeah, that's right. So it's fascinating.
Remember the good old days when we were 16 and we knew everything?
Yeah. Yep. And I have a lot of younger customers who walk in like that. I'm like, oh man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You've got a long road ahead of you, buddy.
Yeah. So I've written. I'll tell you another funny story. So one of the other genres I write in is romance, and
Mhm.
I haven't put it out there yet, but I have one romance, actually two, and two other erotica novels as well written. They're out there too. But in romance, so many years ago when I first started out, I didn't realize how few guys did romance. So I went to a Calgary convention, the Romance Writers Convention, Calgary, and I'm running in late. And I says, "Yeah, I'm registered for the convention. Can you get me there? Because I want to re-listen to this person that's talking right now." And the lady looked at me. She looked at the other lady, and they looked at each other. And she went like this. She goes, "He's the other guy here." I went, "What?"
What?
Out of 200 people, authors and writers, and then saying that, another funny story is, I come walking in, and only the first row I could see, there was a couple empty seats, and that was it. And a lot of women have said, you've got a really nice rear end, bum, and great. So I come walking in with these. I had these tight jeans on. I didn't have a chance to change. I had my cowboy boots on, and I'm walking up to the crowd to the front, and I could see all these heads turning, and I'm thinking, now I know what it feels like for a woman to be oogled or looked at by guys. It was a very, very weird reverse experience for me. It was neat
And very uncomfortable.
and
Yeah.
very uncomfortable. Yes.
George Dismuke says, winners never quit, quitters never win. And
That's
that's
right.
the truth, George.
It is. It is.
Yes, it is. Yep, those romance ladies, they are prolific writers.
They are.
Yes. Yes.
And they know how to advertise and they know how to get things done. I'm telling you.
There you go. So it says started in that, but then I got sucked into this whole storyline about the golden spruce tree thing. That novel was the first one I got published, and that original publisher said, you are brilliant at urban fantasy thrillers. So she wanted me to do that whole series, and so I kind of went down that stream and got away from the romance stuff. But I just sort of dropped that publisher. Now that one's going to be re-released. That should be called Shuttered Seductions. And then there's another one that's going to come out later. That one's about half done. This one is a kind of a bizarre romance in that it's called Autumn Summer, and it'll be about a woman who's died. She's left her husband a diary, and he has no idea what's going on. So in the diary, it basically opens up with the thing that, just to let you know, I have had an affair, but it's not with a guy, and that just blows his brain cells, And then so he now has to read the rest of everything that happens in his life, because he was a traveling salesman, so he wasn't around much, but they loved each other dearly. So he thought, and there you go.
No, maybe she did love him dearly.
Yeah.
The Bridges of Madison County. When I was younger, I actually had that book given to me when it first came out, and people said, "You write like this guy. You're the whole feel, the whole sensual atmosphere," and I was actually very honored by that. And so this book is kind of centered somewhere like along those lines, basically.
Good.
Cool.
So what else have you got coming down the pike?
I also got book 2 and book 3 in the Ascension series. Those are coming out. Book 3, the one after Mystery and Mystique, is coming out. In Mystique, there's actually an ancient being that's been woken up. So now they're trying to deal with this being in book 3. So that one, at this point, is probably a lot darker. Charlie, the crazy shaman, has been called in to help. So him and Agnes are going to team up. So we're going to have the crazy psychic and the crazy shaman, and we'll see who drives each other crazy.
That sounds like craziness, is for sure.
Yeah.
So Joe Conjal says, got to get on the other show. See you there. We'll see you there, Joe.
Yep. So anything else you want to give to the audience here?
No, that's about it. Like I said, that video I just put out is really good. If you want to feel me and feel what my stuff's about, trying to demystify the mystery mystique on YouTube, check that out. It's well done. And I just as I keep telling all the other authors out there, just keep at it. If nothing else, I know that writing is the passion of my soul, and I may not make $1 million. I don't care. I love doing what I love doing.
That's
and
right.
That's what counts. Yeah,
that's what counts, and that's what I love. So
that's good.
And James said, I had to Google to confirm this. Both the dentist and the orthodontist were named Jerry. That's right. I remember Jerry now.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's right.
So I'm going to tell my dentist friend when he comes over for drinks. There are a couple.
You got 2 of them. Yeah.
So he said, I had a misspent youth. Yes, there were a couple, and those were big
funny
shows.
Funny shows.
Yes,
both
they were.
Yeah.
Brilliant comedians. Well, Frank, we want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
It's been awesome. It's been great stepping into your world for a while and you sharing everything.
Thank you.
James says that's encouraging.
Yep.
And I'm going to move you over to the side. And once again, thank you. Not going to remove you. Going to move you over like that. There you go.
That's cool.
Stay right where you're at, and we'll be back with you backstage.
Paul Hollis says, thanks, Frank, Joan, and Rob. Great, funny stories, and looking forward to reading your books.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to put up the banner here for one more time for Blog Talk Radio. Voice of Indie Podcast. The phone number to call is 516-453-9902. That's 516-453-9902. I've always wanted to do that. And then blogtalkradio.com, Voice of Indie, episode 91. And you can hear it there as well.
All right.
Okay. So coming up this Saturday, episode rewind. This Saturday, April 30th. April, right?
Yes.
Yeah, April 30th. Episode 22 will be replayed. And that stars author Sandy Will and Richard Caesar. Caesar. Yeah, he likes to be called Caesar. I don't know why.
It is Richard Caesar, but
it doesn't look like
for
that.
For years and years, I've called him Richard Caesar in my head.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well. Anyway, watch right wherever you're at watching this show. You can watch that as well. Next Wednesday, May 4th, we have episode 56, and we're featuring Dr. Michelle Finneran. And she's the author of Surviving Domestic Abuse.
And it's a pre-record.
It's a pre-record, but it's a brand new episode. We're going to be camping. And make sure you tune in. She's got a book giveaway. She has some fascinating things to talk about. And a lot of good information to impart. So I'm thinking, do you have anything else?
Nope.
All righty then. Until next time.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.